databases, I think it's just a few Perl scripts away to filter that noise out, so, or whatever they use.
We have loyalty systems for the supermarkets, as I'm sure they have everywhere. And in the beginning of that, people were saying, well, you should just swap these cards around because that's much easier. Because then they will just get all this false information in the database and you can still get the discount. And then we sat down with a few people and we just calculated how easy it would be to match where the card went, because you just see record swapping. And you could then not only know what you bought, but you would also know who you knew and who you swapped cards with, and you would get a very quick database of who is how active in the movement of evading loyalty cards, as a bonus on top of knowing what you buy. So there's, no, in a short answer, I don't think poisoning the databases, inserting rubbish is all too effective of a strategy. It may be effective in the minds of people, it may be effective in the brains of the people that want to do something. And as a symbolic gesture, it may be worthwhile, but in practice, against people doing real data mining, I don't see it offering much of a solution.
Well, I was, one last, please.
Yes.
I was thinking about it because from my point of view, there are a lot of organized retired people, and I know that some of them aren't very happy with their new passports, for example, because face recognition has problems with old people. And I could imagine about maybe 100 or several hundred old people kind of making a human brute force attack to some passport check station and just going there with all their passports, and they won't work until the system has to show that it's not up to the job.
That's always good. Showing that it's not up to the job, showing that there is technical failure is never bad.
It seems to me that everything you've described, which I think are a bunch of really good ideas, and I'd like to help as far as I can, but it seems to me that it's all very reactive. It's reacting to several agendas being set by other people. And therefore, I think if we just keep in that mode, reacting with all our cleverness and ideals to other agendas, that then probably we will already have lost the war. And it seems to me that a lot of going on the offensive, I mean, we still have a lot of people in the US, but even in the Netherlands, for instance, that believe that Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11, and if he didn't, well, then maybe he did have weapons of mass destruction, and if he didn't, well, at least he was a very nasty guy, so it's good as he's gone. And this is considered by many Dutch people, true story, a justification for killing 150,000 Iraqi civilians. And one of the reasons that many people appear to believe this is that because they haven't been, you know, told about stuff like the Downing Street memos that show that Tony Blair and Bush knew full well in the summer of 2002 that the whole weapons of mass destruction story was bullshit. So why do most people don't know it? Why do most people in this room probably even have never heard of the Downing Street memos? Well, one of the reasons is because many others of us haven't told them. And so go back to the basis where all this crap began, which is Iraq, which is 9/11, of which there are many big stories that are full of holes. Yeah, full of holes.
But that is basically even more reactive, because you're trying to correct the perception of the past against a huge propaganda machine. So I don't really see that wasting your time or time on that is really productive.
As long as the myth of Iraq and the myth of 9/11 continues to exist, then it will continue to be used to enforce these laws. And most of the populace will actually happily go along with it.
They will always find terrorism on demand. If we debunk the Iraq myth or the 9/11 stuff or whatever, there will always be something new. That's basically their basic.
I still think it's worthwhile to keep pointing out that these are myths. And
you can make a really funny story about 9/11, how 19 Muslim fundamentalists that apparently like lap dances because they visited Las Vegas all the time were somehow able to defeat the entire US air defense with box cutters. I mean, this is a funny story if you look at it like this way.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
What further?
Sorry, so I really have to say that the lady was quite correct. I think it's a construction between we and they, and I think this construction does not work out. It does only work out if you really want this construction. So I think there's this as Steini pointed out, it's always a mixture between we and they on the one hand. And the next point is here. We have to talk about consciousness. It's about consciousness of the people. And for example, we are the kind of top of the top here, And the discussion we had in the last few years about taking photographs here is really weak. It's a weak discussion, and it was slightly going on, but nowadays it's just established. And I'm pretty sure that the war which will be, or the battles which will be lost over and over again in the next few years will be, this war will also change with our consciousness behind it. And I'm very sorry that you were talking mostly about kind of technologies and about a kind of battle which was a kind of taking one step further and one step back on the other side. For me, it's a question about consciousness, and I really this fails, or this is not matched in this discussion here. I feel sorry about this.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing to that. We have a number of, let's say, hard points that we used to defend over the years, and some of them we have simply, even if we would want them to be true, we simply cannot do it anymore. And insisting on them borders on fundamentalism. So, and that is something, for instance, there are people around here that always wanted to be mailbox systems or to be our communication system, and they got overrun by the internet. And we need to be very careful that this is not happening again to us, so that we are basically up to what the technology takes on and where we are going technology-wise, and to simply accept at some point that we cannot stop the train of technology, we can just try to direct it somehow. And so fighting yesterday's battle under the label of consciousness, I don't know if that really is productive on that.
The thing is, if people fighting nuclear transports, or if people doing activism in a way that I think is meaningful, tell me that they are beginning to feel the force of interception, that they're beginning to feel the force of traffic analysis, that they're beginning to feel that our generation is gaining power in the intelligence community, that they're no longer dealing with this guy in the dark coat that comes to meetings, but that they're dealing with high tech in foiling what they're trying to do, then for me that's not a question of consciousness. That's just a real strategic issue that we need to deal with. And I'm sorry if that's all about technology. For me, that's just a matter of living in the world of today and facing the challenges that we face. Yeah. There.
I hope this is working. I think we are doing the same mistakes again. We are talking about technology and we are talking about fun. I think, in my opinion, more important is that we have to talk to the ordinary John or Jane Doe, people who don't understand technology, like my brother, and we have to explain what's happening in their language, not in our language. That's a problem. Then, otherwise, it's a discussion that we are doing together, but we have to broaden our knowledge. And that means we have to change our language.
Okay. I think we should identify our profit centers and focus on core business, and that is talking about technology and fun, because that's what we do really well. And
respectfully, if I might, I
but
think
you tell it doesn't work. It didn't work. So we have to change something.
I would not say that it didn't work. So if you look at Germany, for instance, we managed to keep Germany, at least from a European perspective, in a state where there are at least privacy laws, where there are protections for encryption, where there are possibilities to do stuff that are not possible in other countries. For instance, we can still re-engineer stuff here in Germany. And so I would not say that it has not worked. So it is true that we are basically at the end of our wits in some of these cases because the forces on the other side are simply too strong. But I agree, we need to talk to more people and we need to work on our, for instance, media stuff so that we reach more people. You're precisely correct on that.
I come from a situation where talking the language of Jane and John Doe is a little bit of a dangerous issue. Because I come from a situation where the vast majority, possibly as many as 75% of the people, want more repression. They're petitioning the government to give them the boot in the neck faster.
And harder.
And harder. Why is it that we still have any freedom? Doesn't the government realize, doesn't the minister know that terrorists and criminals are using these freedoms, abusing them? Why is there still this crazy concept of constitution? So we have to accept, or at least me coming from the Netherlands, I have to accept that I am the minority. I am the minority that still cares about these things. There's plenty of other people, but we are a minority. And I'm not sure whether that's true here in Germany. I hope not, but it could well be. So go see a microphone, please.
If I may.
This guy was.
Yeah.
You're talking about people who want more security. You're talking about the powerful political powers that be. But I think that one key thing which we have failed to do is to make the people who elect the powerful Senate, the powerful whatever, realize that you are not really in danger. You who live in a town of 1,000 people and are one of the most afraid people of terrorism in the world are not in danger, and that what is coming in terms of technological changes is far more dangerous. And we need a way to say that in a clear manner, not just privacy policies and, 1984, go read the book. We need a way that people can understand that danger is coming.
Absolutely.
The angel here around me said that I would be next. I agree with the lost war issue, and I think that it is embedded in an even bigger, much bigger context where people's interests are being betrayed by politicians which care most about global corporate interests. And we know that the situation in Germany is already especially critical due to the high unemployment level. And people are also more and more distrusting